Our world is being completely rebuilt right now, one line of code at a time. And it's all being supercharged by artificial intelligence, and that promises a future of incredible progress. But while this new world is being built, we've got to ask, who's actually writing the rules? Who owns the new land? Today we're going to dig into this idea of techno-feudalism and what it could mean for every single one of us.
So, let's start with this really powerful idea that's making the rounds in Silicon Valley. The thinking is that this whole AI boom, it isn't just another tech trend. It's something bigger, something more final. Some are calling it the last gold rush. Like this is the very last chance to build real wealth before AI just completely rewrites all the economic rules for good. The fear is that the sheer amount of data and computing power you need creates a barrier so high that nobody new will ever be able to compete.
And this quote right here, it just nails that feeling perfectly. It's this idea that a very small number of tech giants could soon control super intelligent AI and, in the process, capture a huge slice of the world's wealth. And for the rest of us, that traditional path to success, the whole American dream, it might just become a relic of the past. It's like the bridge to prosperity is being pulled up and everyone is scrambling to make sure they're on the right side of the moat.
Which brings us right to the heart of it all. Is this new digital world we're building going to empower everyone? Or are we accidentally creating a new kind of feudal system, with a few powerful digital lords and the rest of us as their digital peasants? To really wrap our heads around this, let's look at one of the biggest digital kingdoms that already exists, the cloud.
We are talking about the world of cloud computing, and specifically Amazon Web Services, or AWS. It's the invisible infrastructure that powers a massive part of the modern internet. So in our feudal analogy, AWS isn't just a castle, it's the entire kingdom. It provides the digital land and the resources that thousands of other businesses have to build on.
And, just like any kingdom, that kind of power doesn't go unnoticed. Back in 2023, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission in 17 states, they sued Amazon. They claimed that the company is illegally acting like a monopoly, using its power to block competitors, jack up prices, and basically crush innovation. It's a classic story of regulators starting to question the power of the ruler.
This quote from cloud billing expert Corey Quinn just perfectly shows one of the weird side effects of all that power. Inside companies that use AWS, there's this crazy disconnect. The engineers who are building things and running up the bill, they have no idea what it costs. And the finance people who actually see the massive bill, they have no clue what they're even paying for. That kind of complexity makes it really hard for the tenants to know what kind of rent they're paying in this digital kingdom.
And for the smaller players, the digital peasants, you could say, the consequences can be absolutely devastating. This number, $270,000, that's not from some giant corporation. That was a surprise bill that one user reported on Reddit. And honestly, stories of students and small developers getting hit with these life-changing bills just because of one simple mistake, they're surprisingly common. It just shows you the incredible risk of living on someone else's digital land.
So, what are the rules of this kingdom anyway? When you build your app on AWS, who's actually responsible when something goes wrong? Well, the answer is buried in the kingdom's official rulebook.
The whole relationship is based on something called the shared responsibility model. I mean, it sounds fair, doesn't it? Amazon secures the physical stuff, the data centers, the networks, and you, the customer, you just have to secure whatever you put inside it. But that line between security of the cloud and security in the cloud can get very blurry. This diagram really shows you what that model looks like in reality. The provider's job is on the left, and the customer's, your job, is on the right. A massive amount of the work and all of the risk, it falls on the user. The landlord owns the land, sure, but you're responsible for the locks, the walls, the windows, and the roof on your own little digital house.
At the end of the day, just as researchers from Carnegie Mellon put it, cloud providers like Amazon give you all these amazing, powerful security tools, but the burden of using them perfectly, that rests entirely on you, the user. And that right there is the vassal's burden.
But here's the thing. Is this centralized, top-down model the only way to build our digital world? Well, it turns out a tool that nearly every single software developer on Earth uses every day was born from a totally different philosophy, a rebellion against this exact kind of control.
Okay, let's compare the cloud kingdom with what we'll call the digital commons, represented by a tool called Git. Where AWS is centralized, Git is distributed, peer-to-peer. With AWS, you're basically a renter. With Git, every single user is an owner of their own complete copy. The rules of AWS can be super complex, even opaque, while Git's entire history is open and transparent for anyone to see. In the kingdom, power is held by the provider. In the commons, power is held by the contributors.
Git's origin story is just fascinating. It was literally born out of a rebellion. So the Linux project was using this proprietary, centrally controlled tool called BitKeeper. Then one day, the company behind it just revoked their free license. Gone. Left them high and dry. So what did Linus Torvalds do? He didn't go looking for a new digital landlord. No way. He built his own system. And he specifically designed it to be distributed so that no single company could ever hold that kind of power over them again.
And its name reflects this rebellious, bottom-up, almost punk rock attitude. Linus Torvalds joked that he names all his projects after himself. First Linux, now Git, which is British slang for an unpleasant person. That kind of self-deprecating humor is a universe away from the polished, corporate language of a digital kingdom. It's the philosophy of the commons, not the castle.
So what we're really looking at here are two fundamentally different models. And as we build this next generation of technology with AI, we are, right now, actively choosing which of these philosophies is going to define our digital future.
On one side, you have the path of centralized control, this idea of techno-feudalism, where a few companies own all the digital land and we just pay rent to live there. On the other side, you have a future of distributed empowerment, where tools and platforms are designed more like Git, as a shared commons where power and ownership are spread out among the users themselves.
The technologies we build are never neutral. They are always embedded with the philosophies of the people who created them. And as we stand right on the edge of this massive AI revolution, the choice between these two futures is going to determine not just how our tech works, but who it works for. And that leaves us with one last, big question to think about. Who do we want holding the keys to our digital world? The lords or the commons?